Hello and welcome back to my short CAD tutorial in Inventor Professional, where we're going to be making a V8 engine. Now, if you haven't watched my previous video where we were making a drive shaft, I highly suggest you go and do that now, since I'm going to be using some of the methods and techniques that I taught in that one. But today we're not going to be making a drive shaft, we're actually going to start making our piston. So, the first thing you're going to want to do is create a new object and choose standard millimeter, just like we did previously. Once you've done that, we're going to start making a new 2D sketch. And just choose any plane you want. I'm going to choose the XY plane, because it might be easier that way. Not gonna make much of a difference though. So, now we're gonna start making the actual sketch for this. And the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make a circle from the center point. And we're gonna type in 20 millimeters as the radius. And then we're gonna be making another circle with this one having 34 millimeters. Next, we're gonna make a line straight downward from the center point of our circle. So choose the line tool, click the middle of the circle, and put it straight down and type in 170 millimeters. And press enter. Then we're gonna be making two more circles from the bottom of this new line that we just made. The first one is going to be 40 millimeters. And the second is going to be 60 millimeters. Next, we're going to be adding some details to our sketch to make it appear more like the final project we're wanting. So, first, select the line tool. Then, try and snap it to the very edge of the middle of the bottom circle. You can also type in the coordinates manual, of course. But once you've done that, you draw it straight up and you type in 20 millimeters. And then you draw it to the side and try and snap it to the circle. It might be helpful to zoom in while doing this to make sure that you've actually gotten a correct snap. Correct snap is achieved when that icon, which I'm demonstrating now, is shown and you have 90 degrees. And just click. Then we do the exact same thing except on the other side of the circle. 20 millimeters straight up. Draw it to the left and snap it. Then we're gonna add two more lines, and we're gonna make these straight across the center between the two circles. So one there and one there. Make sure it snaps. And that gives us all the lines we need. So now we're gonna be using the trim tool. So select that now. Now, once you've selected the trim tool, simply select the two lower arcs that I'm indicating. We're then going to remove two more arcs, namely the ones inside the sort of boxes we just drew, so the ones I'm indicating right now. Now, you might notice that there are still white lines where we use trim. Don't be alarmed, because these are only the actual dimensions being shown here. So what we can do is we can actually pull these out of the way, so we get a clearer look at how our part looks. It's often a good idea to pull away the dimensions from time to time to make sure that you can see properly. Now, we're gonna add some more additions to this sketch before we're completely finished. So, to do that, we select the Line tool, and then we snap it to the center circle, straight in the middle of it, on the top one. And then you type in 93 degrees as the angle. Once you press Tab, you realize that it is now snapped to 93 degrees, which is exactly what we're looking for here. So, now put it all the way down until it snaps to the lower circle. Might help zooming in to realize if it snapped correctly. And then just place it right there. Press OK to deselect the line. There we have the first line we need. We're gonna add another one on the other side of it, which looks identical. So, select that. But you'll realize that if you type in 93 degrees, it won't actually give you the result you want, because now it will be 93 degrees in the same direction as the first one, meaning we've created parallel lines, and this is not what we want. Instead, you're gonna have to be calculating in the other direction. So, you're gonna need 87 degrees. And there we go. Now it works perfectly. So just snap that to the line as well. Now, we're almost finished with the initial sketch that we need. First, try and pull away all the dimensions that are in the way, so that you can get a clearer look on how everything looks. Some of these cannot be moved, but most of them can, so try and move those out of the way. Then, we're gonna select the Trim tool again, and start trimming away the last lines we don't need. So, just try and trim away all the lines that I'm indicating here. Including the center line. We might actually have left that, and it wouldn't really have hurt anything, but it's good to remove the lines you don't need. It's good practice, really. Now, you'll notice that when we tried to delete the last line, it said that it has a dimension on it. And this is the problem we encountered in the previous video. It simply means that we have a dimension on this exact line that we can't just remove via the Trim tool. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to try and find which ones are actually linked to this specific line. And in this case, it's this big one here, because it goes from the edge of the small green line to the top of it. So that's the one we're gonna need to delete. So we go up, we select the large one. Oh, and by the way, this is an important fact. When you're selecting things while dragging to the left will actually select things, while dragging to the right will use a separate sort of selection mechanic that doesn't select most things. For example, it doesn't select lines if you draw to the right, as I'm trying to indicate here. However, drawing to the left will select these lines. It's important to keep this in mind when trying to select things. Now, we can use the Trim tool and remove that last bit of line that we wanted removed. We're then done with the actual initial sketch that we wanted. So we can just press Finish Sketch. We will then want to extrude this. So choose the Extrude tool, just like we did in the previous video. And select the entire shape we have. You'll notice we don't actually have to click on several shapes because we've trimmed away all the unnecessary lines. And then we type in 20 millimeters. Now, we are actually finished with the main part of this piston. Or actually, the main part of this top half of the piston. We're gonna make the other ones as separate parts, so we don't want to worry about those right now. But there is one big feature that we're actually missing. We want screw holes on this. So, we're gonna make a 2D sketch. And then, we're gonna select the planes that I'm indicating. And then, we're gonna project both of the planes that I'm indicating here. We are then going to draw a line. So choose the line tool now. You'll want to snap this to the center of the left side line. And then we're gonna make a line that is 5 millimeters out. Here I'm just trying out some different measurements so to see what fits best, but 5 millimeters fits best. So do that. Then we're gonna make a circle, and we're gonna make that 5 millimeters as well. And then we just do the exact same thing on the other side of the model. So another line, 5 millimeters, this time from the right side, and a 5 millimeter circle from that line. And then we can just finish the sketch. We'll want to extrude these now, so choose the Extrude tool, and make sure to click on the small circles that we've gotten. We then choose a small option in the extrusion menu called the Cut option. Now what this does is it actually makes you remove pieces of the part instead of adding them. So choose that, and you'll see that we're now making holes instead of actually building new things. So type in 2 millimeters in the distance, and then we just press OK. And we'll now have two 2 millimeter holes with 5 millimeter diameter on them, which is exactly what we wanted for our screws. We're then gonna make a new sketch inside this new hole. So now we project again, but this time we actually project the circles we already have. And then we just draw 2 new circles with the same center point. However, these are going to be 3 millimeters. Do that for both of them. And then we can just finish the sketch. And then we just extrude these just like we did the previous ones. Be sure to click the central parts of the holes. And choose the Cut option again, since we're actually making holes and not sticks. And type in 20 millimeters. And then we press OK. And what we now should have is a hole straight through to the bottom of it, which is where we're going to attach our screws later on. Now, all that's left are some finishing touches. So, the first thing we're gonna want to do is choose a color. I'm not actually sure what color I want on these, but I think I want some blue color to make it stand out from the red. Sky blue? Nah, that doesn't feel right. Maybe... Nah, not white. Blue wall paint glossy. There. Of course, you can paint in any color you want, but try to coordinate the paint with the other parts I'm gonna make later on, just so we make sure which part belongs to what. And then we're gonna make one last little adjustment, because these are actually screw holes and not spike holes, so to speak. Or nail holes, I guess they're called. So what we're gonna want to do is we're gonna want to go under hole, the small menu there, and select thread. Now what this does is it actually simulates or emulates screws. So we're gonna want to zoom in and click on the holes that we've just drilled through the part. And you'll see that they now look like you could fit a screw in them. You'll have to press apply between doing it on both of the parts. And once you've done it on both, we are actually completely finished with this model. If you rotate it, you can see that it only gave it to the bottom half, which is exactly what we want. The top half is just for sinking the screws in. Now, we just save this like we would any part. and you find the folder you had previously. So in my case, it was my V8. And then you create a new folder inside that, and you name it piston. You open that and save this part as piston top half. And then we're actually completely finished with this model. Now, for the next video, I'm actually going to show you how to be making the bottom half of this very same piston. So you may want to come back for that one. But for now, goodbye.